This is the Lowco Hoops Report, covering basketball in the South Carolina Lowcountry. Here are your hosts, Justin Jarrett and Wes Kerr. All right, Lowco Hoops fans, welcome back to another edition of the Lowco Hoops Report. I'm Justin Jarrett, back from computer purgatory last week when I had to sit out and let you guys take it on your own. You guys did a fantastic job, but I'm happy to be back to talk hoops with you because like you guys, I've been in gyms, every other night just about for a couple of weeks now, checking out a bunch of different teams, hit up 3 different spots on Friday night. So we're all seeing a lot of hoops. We got a lot to talk about. I got Wes Kerr, Willie White, and Rob Benson with me again today. Got the whole crew together. And, I know we're a little Hilton Head Christian heavy on our panel here, but you guys are unbiased, I would say, as unbiased as people with kids on teams can be. So we love having you because you guys keep it, keep the talk going. You guys are seeing a lot of teams. So we appreciate you having you. And on that note, let's get into what we've seen this week, guys. I think 3 of the 4 of us were at Hilton Head Christian Academy on Friday for the big one with Hilton Head Prep. But, I've been a bunch of other places as well. Got out and saw JP2 girls a couple of times. Got over to May River. I've seen Bluffton a ton. Where have you guys been? Wes, I know you were in the tank for Bluffton May River the other night. Who else you been checking out lately?
Yeah, I was able to also be at the Nest and see Hilton Head taking on May River. So I got to see the Sharks twice this week. Hilton Head girls, picking up a nice win, 42-33, taking care of business. And it was good to see some other guys step up other than Linda Young, because you saw Deja Godson with a nice game, 9 points, 4 boards, and Emily Pfister. So those guards who have kind of been waiting to wing a little bit these last few years, while Linda Young has really been the star of the show. It's kind of changed. And then Hilton Head went on the road and got a monstrous win at James Island to now move themselves into a tie for first place in the region as we get ready for a big showdown on Tuesday against Bluffton, which will be for first place. Both teams sitting at 4-1. Hilton Head alongside Bluffton Bobcats, but the Seahawks with a heck of a performance both at home against May River, then taking on the road and topping James Island Trojans 30-29. Linda Young was the leading scorer there, nearly a double-double with 13 points, 9 rebounds, and 3 steals. So top players showing up in a big-time game like that. No surprise there. Linda Young has been an absolutely clutch player down the stretch in big games and improving it once again to pick up a huge road victory to kind of vault themselves not just into the top of the region discussion, but we'll get to later when we go through our power rankings of some of the top teams in the area. I think they're right up there with I think Hilton Head Christian Academy is gold standard. We'll talk about that a little later, but Hilton Head High is certainly on the rise. Russell Ranazuski is doing a heck of a job in season 3 for the Seahawks. So great to see that for Hilton Head, and a lot of exciting things for both the boys and the girls team. Shane Brown doing a nice job. They're 3-2, third place in 7-4 in the boys side, but Bluffton girls keep on rolling as well. I got to see them take down May River. Really, this was not in doubt from the start. Bluffton, with Decoya Hayward leading the way, 15.7 boards, 10 assists. Once again showing her value to this team by her exceptional vision on the court, being able to pick out some passes to her teammates like Maddie Washington, Katie Rodney, really doing a good job seeing the floor, and just the chemistry with some of those players have really improved. But Jelena Mosley with a really nice game, a double-double, 11 points, really active on the glass with 12 boards, a good finisher close to the rim. And, she's developed some strong abilities to her game that, has really suited her as a role player with this team. And I think that's what Bluffton was missing, is some of those secondary scores. Saw a little bit of that these last few years from Rodney, and Rodney's still a big part of this team. But I mean, I think you have that secondary score. It's really been a team effort now with girls like Jelena Mosley, with Maddie Washington, and some others on that group that have begun to step it up and carry some of the load as well. So I really like how this Bluffton team has evolved. I think they've gotten some more pieces, stepping into bigger spots with this squad. So. I expect Bluffton to, I think they're right there. I think 4 teams right now have a legitimate shot at winning this region. You look at Bluffton, Hilton Head, Lucy Beckham, and James Island. I mean, all crunched together there in the game of each other. And of course, Bluffton, Hilton Head right now currently tied at the top. But I think it's anyone's title to win as we get into the second half of region play. So I'm really excited to see how that shapes out.
Yeah, because the tiebreakers are all wonky now because everybody's beaten everybody. That Bluffton lost to James Island, and then James Island lost to Lucy Beckham and Hilton Head. So we got to wait for the next round to sort it out because it can go a bunch of different directions. But over on the Skiza side, they're just starting to play region games in that 3-team 3A region. So it's kind of weird there that we're just playing the first games. But we got some good ones on Friday night in the cage. Rob and Will, you were both there. The fire marshal definitely should not know about what happened in the boys game. The girls game was played at 3:00, so that was no problem. But the 6:30 boys game, that place was packed to the gills. Like we had dignitaries lined up behind the benches because there was nowhere for them to sit. Like it was crazy stuff, but in a heck of a game. And I guess Rob, you've seen a lot of basketball. That was one of the better atmospheres we've seen around here in a while.
Well, they go back obviously. Christian prep. It's the prep school kind of rivalry, private school rivalry around here. Certainly hasn't diminished with Christian moving off the island at all. And both those schools, HHCA is getting bigger with Bluffton growing, and Prep's always really, prided themselves on being a basketball community. Both programs have undergone coaching changes in the last couple of years, and there's more of an influx into the community in Bluffton right now. So it's Christian surrounded by more kids, whereas what you saw in COVID is families were moving into Sea Pines and things of that nature, and they were benefiting from all of that. So what was left over was a very even matchup in a very hard fought game with good athletes on both sides. It was too much capacity for that gym. People were on top of each other. It was probably 35 degrees hotter than they had the AC unit set at, right? Or whatever.
It was at least 25 degrees hotter for the boys game than it was for the girls game, at least. Sure. It was so hot.
And the crowds were hot. Like making no secret, I sat in the middle of the prep section because that's where there were seats, and I have kids I'm a fan of and or have been around on both teams, and I'm a huge fan of the kids and their families. But it was a heated environment, and it was good to see something rekindled at that level and executed at that level. It was good for the area. It was good for basketball. Kids who had nothing to do with either of those schools were there. Families, people who had a cursory interest in basketball just were there. So it was good. And I certainly had a fun time with it. We got an extra period for free, which I'm always a fan of. And actually, that's probably when about a third of our points happened.
Oh, yeah. It was 39-39 after regulation, and we ended up 57-47. It got live after that. But
it did.
We got to give Will his props. He called this before anybody else. But I also remind you that there's a rematch on February 10th. And Prep was without its point guard to start and then lost its other point guard, in the fourth quarter there. So, I think at full strength, this is a different game. And, certainly Christian Academy had opportunities too to make the lead bigger at times, but and did a terrific job. But, I think that second, I don't think this means that they're going to walk through the second meeting by any means. I think it's going to be another
absolutely
slugfest.
Yeah, absolutely. And to go to Rob's point, it probably was 25, 35 degrees hotter. But I think once tip off happened, like all that went out the window, and it just became a really like college like atmosphere with like the crowds on both sides, and it wasn't disgusting or nobody was ruly. It was just fans rooting for fans, and it was pure basketball, and it was a fun game to watch. And it was 39-39, but that was like one of the most exciting 39-39s at the end of the fourth that I've seen in a while, because I've been to some games and I'll be like, man, can we get out of here? This is bad basketball.
Had some major FOMO.
Yeah,
No, you didn't want this one to end.
Yeah, you just didn't get that feel, even though it was 39-39, because it was great defense played on both sides. It was well coached, and then the players that were supposed to step up played very, very well. Sean Casano was just an absolute monster, and I don't think we had any way of controlling him. I don't even think we slowed him down. But then they couldn't stop Dirty Harry and Q Caden Turner, excuse me, let me say his name right. I mean, he just had 18 boards, and he was ridiculous too. So I mean, everybody who I think stepped up, and Kane and Eli just like went at it. And to me, that was the best matchup of the night. Those were two kids that probably should be in college that will probably play at the next level, playing like college kids, like you would expect to see in a college game. I had a lot of fun, and I can't wait to do it again. And hopefully, we're on the right side again, and we're not little brothers anymore. Hopefully, if we win too, they don't consider us the little brothers, because I don't know. I've heard from so many different people in the community that it's been this amount of years and this amount of years since they won. So it was a big deal. So. And very fun.
I don't know how many. I haven't gotten around to researching that yet to confirm that, but it hasn't been that long.
The way they make it feel, it was like forever. But I guess when you lose 2 games a year, even if it's 5 years in a row, that feels like forever.
Oh yeah, it's an eternity. I mean, if you go your whole high school career and you don't beat somebody, that's plenty long enough, right? Like that feels like forever. So 3 or 4 years can feel like an eternity. We lost Rob, but we'll get him back in here. Yeah. And we definitely have to get him back in here because we got to talk power rankings, and that's his baby.
Absolutely.
So we got to wait for Rob to get back in.
I caught the end of the May River Bluffton game, and it was pretty packed too. It was pretty exciting. Yeah, I didn't get to see the whole thing. I just caught the end of it. So
it was a good battle. Yeah, Tanner Macy and Gage Duncan were pretty impressive by the way they were able to connect and shoot the basketball. And Bluffton they hung around, but May River looked like they were the better team.
They're a good team with a not so good record. I would say, they're a decent team.
Yeah,
not so good record.
Yeah, and I would say that Whitmore game plans very well. He always has a good plan, and it's just a matter of whether they're actually able to execute it or not. And sometimes the other team's just better, But I think they always are well prepared, and they're going to surprise somebody. They're going to beat somebody down the stretch in that region.
Cost somebody a regional playoff or something, if they're just a team that you look on your schedule and you're like, oh man, I got.
Well, if they get a little bit hot from outside, they can.
Kevin Blocker, they need him to get going.
Yeah. If they can get a couple guys going from outside, then they could shock Lucy Beckham or James Island. I think. I mean, they almost had James Island.
They almost had James Island.
They had him on the ropes. So.
I actually had them this week upsetting James Island. Even though, I think they might go in and pull it off. They just played them so well last time. So
what's the money line on that?
Are we talking total points? Because last time it was one of those. Can we tease it? 30-point games.
All right, we got Rob back in here, and he has his baby this week. Rob, you tell us what you wanted to do. You wanted to put together some power rankings and kind of compile a composite, so to speak, to try to get an idea now that we've seen a little bit more. So, introduce us to the concept here.
Well, it started this week on Twitter. A friend of mine and a coach with Lowco women's basketball, Mike Keenan, had sort of didn't understand how some of the rankings were being compiled in the state. And I think all too often the programs at this, I guess would be the southern portion of the Lowcountry here, get cast aside while, if the rankings are even going to touch on the area, it's going to go to Charleston, basically. So the goal here was in tandem with your mission statement for the counties you represent, right? At Lowco Sports, I was thinking maybe we should come up with power rankings, private and public. We've seen most everyone at this point in time, and come up with some sort of compelling way to rank everyone week to week based off of what we've seen, comparable scores, taking into account schedules, level of competition, things of that nature, and obviously talent pools that we know exist at those programs, and kind of see what we could do about having our own take, so that this area was represented. Part of the concept was to include the publics that were in regions that extended to Charleston. Those teams would be thrown in the fray as well. So the Lucy Beckhams and things of that nature. So anyway, that was sort of where it came from. And then I hit you guys up, and it sort of had legs of its own, I guess.
So what are the results? Hit us with the rankings.
Well, hold on. Everyone here has their own set of rankings. They get to unveil.
Oh, okay. I thought you were compiling.
Yeah. Oh no, I'll compile it all, but essentially right now I want to hear what everyone's got to say and why.
Yeah.
Well, Rob, let's start with you. I want to see what you have, then we'll kind of see where we differ.
On the girls' side, it starts with Hilton and Christian. They're head and shoulders right now. Now they have a big one with BA a little later today, but they're just up there in terms of talent level, in terms of execution, in terms of the schedule they've played. They're not ducking anyone. In fact, they're hunting games. So you can't deny that. And then, the record and the talent level and, above and beyond that. I think Bluffton comes in, a solid number 2 right now. They seem to, I still think they're sort of in control of that region, potentially athletically. There's some other teams out there that shoot the ball pretty well. After, and they have high-end talent level, from Takoya through Amira at this point, and Maddie Washington's back. So that's all for the good for them. Wade Hampton has not spent a lot of time losing games. They've lost to Bluffton a couple of times, and but they have those matchups where they're taking out Estill and things like that. And I think that their talent level speaks highly of them, and they're also playing pretty decent level of competition at this point.
They just got a good win at Woodland to stay undefeated in the region. That was nice.
I would go after that. I would go Hilton Head High School. They seem, Linda is putting up numbers and stats. I think I think Janaya has been more effective than I've seen her in years in the last 2-3 weeks. It was great to hear, Deja Godson get on the board. It feels like she struggled with confidence at times, and if she can get going, that helps them out tremendously. So they're also right in there. Now the last I was going to go with I'm going to go with Buford Academy. I think they have 3 frontline talents there, and Talia Haywood, Michaela Washington, and Kamira Freeman. And they're a good little squad. There's not much depth there above and beyond that. I think there's definitely some potential to make the argument that Lucy Beckhams are better and things of that nature. And I certainly would accept that. Estill hasn't quite worked their way into the situation yet. They don't play much, right? They and when they do, they're beating up bridges locally and things of that nature. So from my perspective, I think you can't go wrong with the grouping of 5 there. Let's go girls. Go all the way around girls, I guess. And then we can go boys.
I can't disagree with you on Hilton Christian. I think they're the clear-cut number 1 here in the area. I mean, playing as tough a schedule as they are and pulling out those victories and many of them in dominant fashion. I mean, they've just been steamrolling. They've absolutely been the definition of a wagon in high school basketball here in the Lowco. I mean, you look at the star-studded lineup roster that they have, and it's it's crazy to think with Tamaya Hutchinson and Morgan Scott, Devin Yard, Abby Peduzzi. I mean, it's really been a team effort, even though all 4 of them can put up good numbers and starting for a lot of other teams, but they really embrace that team mentality. And Abby Peduzzi is really the heart and soul. She doesn't get enough love, as much love as she deserves of what she means, that rock, that hustle player, scrapping for rebounds, scoring some tough buckets inside. She's really the definition of the winning culture there. So she's a big part of that, but the high-end talent of Devin Yard and Morgan Scott coming over this year, being a huge addition to rebound the ball, scoring inside, defensive abilities. She's been a huge part of this as well. And then, of course, Maya Hutchinson with her star power, her scoring ability, her quickness, athleticism. Fun to watch her play basketball. And I believe she's approaching, if she hasn't already, hit 2,000 points in her career, which is pretty crazy around her total high school career. So, big stuff there for Hilton Christian Academy. Number two, I do agree with you, Bluffton Bobcats. Although I think it's very tight from two down. I think Hilton Head is close to Bluffton. I think Tuesday's game is going to tell us a lot about how close they really are. But I mean, you look at the collection of talent that Bluffton has, the star power of Takoya Hayward, and then her ability to take over a game, to drive to the basket, get fouled, make free throws. And her court vision is one of the best in the Lowco, and also her ability on defense to use those quick hands to force big-time turnovers. So a lot of great potential there that we've finally starting to been seeing these last few years from Hayward. And I think that hunger of having those tough games in the playoffs is only going to fuel her going forward throughout the rest of her career over there at Bluffton. But Myra Brown, similar to what we saw Takoya back in the day as an eighth grader, she's kind of doing those same things, highlight reel, playmaking on the offensive end, and providing that extra spark this year that we haven't seen some other years. And then I mean, Maddie Washington's really stepped in as that big that center, that big man, I guess you'd say, on the court that's providing those rebounds, providing those buckets in close. And that's a big part of the identity of this team as well. They need Maddie Washington to stay out there, and then those role players like Mosley and some others who have kind of stepped in and done their job really well to contribute to this group. So I think the overall talent for Bluffton, I think that it takes them a little bit ahead of Hilton Head, although Linda Young is one of the best players here in the area, top three for sure, with her ability to rebound the ball and fight for every basket, and just her ability to take over the game in clutch time and make big shots. I mean, it's not easy, but she finds a way to get it done. Then I get Hilton at 3, BA at 4, and I mean, you can't deny the excitement of this Beaufort Academy team this year with, of course, Michaela Washington, Talia Hayward. Hayward's really been the go-to star of this team this year. Michaela Washington's still putting up strong numbers and is a big component, but Hayward has risen to another level this year with her shooting, with her defense. She's always displayed the ability to get those steals and use those quick hands and hustle on the defensive end, the court step, transition buckets on offense. So, and she's doing so much more, a multi-level scorer now, and she's displayed some excellent leadership for that team. So I really like what BA is doing. I think they're serious contenders in Class 2A. The fifth spot, I'm glad you brought Wade Hampton, because I definitely do think they should be deserving of this one. But I was thinking of them. I originally had James Island up there. It's real, like I said, that region's really close. I mean, Hilton had just beat James Island by 1 point. That Trojan team is a strong squad. And that's going to be interesting to see how they do the rest of the way, because they've got some talent on the starting rotation there, and I expect them to be competitive and right up near the top of this girls' rankings. And then I'm not ready to put them on the rankings yet, but kind of a receiving votes kind of thing, like climbing their way up, and worth mentioning. John Paul II, a really nice season for the Golden Warriors. Brady Mahoney is putting up some insane numbers, and that team is really gelled and is racking up some wins in Esquida. So another team I wanted to shout out because they're having an impressive start to this year.
Yeah, and I'll jump in there because I had the same rankings as Rob all the way down. Hilton Head Christian, Bluffton, Hampton, Hilton Head High, and BA. You can definitely make a case for JP2, but as of right now, they're 0-1 against BA. They'll get another shot at them at home, and I wouldn't be surprised at all if JP2 won that game. But right now, BA's got head-to-head on them. Hilton Head's 2-0 against BA. Hampton's 2-0 against Hilton Head, I think. I'm not sure. And they're 0-2 against Bluffton. So, that all's just sorted out pretty easily for me. I think Bluffton still has more upside because Maddie's not close to 100%, but she gets closer every week, So I think as she gets healthier, I mean, she can't really jump right now, and she's still pretty effective. So as she gets healthier, I think they get better. I think they kind of got caught sleeping at James Island. I don't think that happens again. And I'm not really sure the gap between them and Hilton Head is as close as we maybe think it is right now. But we'll see. I mean, we'll find out soon enough, but that's where I got them. How about you, Willie?
Thank you guys for even doing this. This is why Lowco Hoops, like you told me, this is why they exist, because it did all start on Twitter, and I feel like we just get no love, and with that no love gets no looks, and like you guys have always said, it's about the kids and getting the kids. So hopefully this makes some noise and ruffles some feathers and wake some people up, and they come and look at us. But back to the rankings, of course, HHCA. I mean, you got to dethrone the kings or the queens, whatever you want to call it, in this day and age before they're knocked off. They're number one, and they're one of the top teams in the state. Period. Probably top 5. Bluffton, I have at number 2. BA number 3. I have JP2 as my number 4. I mean, West stole a lot of my thunder, but Mahoney has just been an absolute tear on the basketball court. I've seen her play once or twice. And then I have Hilton Head Island at number 5 with Wade Hampton receiving votes.
All right, fair enough. I guess we'll kick it to the boys now. I'll kick us off on boys because
Okay.
I'm feeling confident here. And again, I will preface this with, this is a snapshot right now based on body of work and what we've seen right now. It ain't going to be the same next week if teams start losing or teams start winning. But after what I saw on Friday night, I got to put Hilton Head Christian Academy on top. I mean, the body of work is really impressive. Now, one game against Wade Hampton, who I've got at number 2, I don't know. I don't know who wins that game. I think a lot of it depends on how it's called. Because they're going to play different styles. Hampton's going to want to get out and run and force things a little bit more than Hilton Head Christian might. So I think that's a really interesting game. But I got them 1-2 right now, mostly because Hampton has stumbled a little bit lately. They're 2-0 against Estill, who I have at 3 because of their head-to-head win over Whale Branch. But Hampton split with Whale Branch. They just lost at Woodland. So they're looking a little bit fallible at this moment. So I got them at 2, then Estill, Whale Branch, and then I got Hilton Head Prep at 5. But that's really based on their point guard situation right now. Helm's out, and now Freight hopefully is not out too long with that ankle. But until they have one of those guys back, I'm a little concerned about that offense in particular, and the turnovers getting them with that kind of intricate offense that they run. So that's where I'm sitting at right now, and happy to hear you guys pick it apart.
I'll go next. I'll go boys next then. I've got HHCA as number 1 too. I mean, I think Prep was the favorite to win probably 3A, and they still might be in a lot of people's eyes. And if you beat them, they beat them straight up in a good game, and they didn't falter. So that's why they're my number 1. I have Whale Branch at 2. I think Coach Antoine's doing a really good thing, and he's got those boys moving in the right direction. I would have loved to see the Whale Branch HHCA game. You say the Wade Hampton, but I think just 2 clashing different styles, and I just think Whale Branch, they won the last meeting with Wade Hampton. The first one they played them really close, and they went up there and they won. And I think
those 2 teams they're kind of mirror images. I mean,
but I think one is trending in the right direction, and one is
I would agree with that. Yeah,
and that's why I have Wade Hampton number 3, and I think Wade Hampton, they would have been probably my number 1 even over HHCA, but they faltered here a little bit, and I think they'll get it back on track and they'll get it fixed, and they're still a really, really good team, and they've got lots of talent there, and they're well coached, and that's why I got them at number 3. HHP, Hilton Head Prep, I got them at 4. I mean, I'll say it like I said at the beginning of the year. They've lost more games than normal, and probably in any other given year they would have won those games. So their record is not what they are. I really believe probably like 3 or 4 of them, they might have been robbed or like somebody hit a buzzer beater. I don't think they've been blown out in any game. They were up on First Baptist by 10, in the third quarter, and they let it slip away. So I think they're really good, and the record of 7-7 is not what it is. And anybody who's complaining or whatever, I dare you to line it up and play them and see if you don't feel different after that game. And then I have James Island at number 5. I think they've got a really good point guard in Simmons, and I think he's given a lot of teams problems over there in the 4A class. And receiving votes, I got Estill. They're 6-0 in their region, which is pretty scary. So I put them as receiving votes, but I still have James Island over them, and I think James Island's probably going to win that region. Unfortunately, it's not one of our boys, but they're a pretty good team. They're pretty well coached, and that's my 5.
Yeah, I actually have James out at number 2 behind Hilton Head Christian Academy. I mean, still unbeaten in their region. A huge head-to-head win over Lucy Beckham to take first place at 5-0. And, they've had some resistance along the way, but they've cruised so far through a tough region. No game is easy. I mean, you look at Hilton Head, Bluffton, and Beckham. I mean, those games are very tough to pull out one after the other and run that table. So props to James Allen, the Trojans, for what they're doing so far. But yeah, I'm still on this Hilton Christian County team. That was a massive win to get that victory over your rivals. And what a story that this group has been, because we saw some glimpses of it last year with Jason Gruckmeyer, but getting some more pieces to add into that core of Isaiah Anderson, Caden Turner, and the development of Harry and what he's done this year. I mean, it's really all come together. Elijah White has been an absolute star this season, and I'm just really impressed by how far this group has come. I think maybe a couple weeks when that football team was eliminated a few weeks earlier than normal, gave him some time to, get things together. And then after that, I think they started to gel, and now you're seeing the fruits of that work and preparation really come to fruition here for this team. And I think big things could be in store. I'm really excited to get to that rematch as we get ready for Hilton Head Prep and Hilton Christian. That one will be on the island in the prep field house. So really excited. The student section should be lit over there once again, and the prep students, I'm sure they're going to be excited to get some revenge there. So really excited for that one. Should be a heck of a rematch between the Dolphins and the Eagles. But yeah, James Allen at 2. And then after that, I still like Hilton Head Prep. I think they're very close to. I think if you take into account who they missed in that game and the potential of some of those guys, and I agree that when you do power rankings, it's based on what you've seen, the body of work, as you mentioned. I do think Hilton Head Prep is close to Hilton Head Christian Academy.
Mm-hmm.
So I have them right there, and then Whale Branch and Wade Hampton. But the gap is very narrow between these few squads. So great to see boys basketball, especially on the rise here. Skiza, I mean, we were thinking Hilton Head Prep really the last few years has been that top team, but Christian Academy has challenged them and took them down. So that changed the complexity of that. And Wade Hampton, who we picked up in our coverage map, who has been a strong contender these last few years over there in 2A. Great season continuing that success, and then Whale Branch, another team. These last few years, I mean, Nick Kringle really kept the tradition going, and continued to really, have that same grinding mentality and just that tenacity to continue to pull out wins and get it done in the clutch throughout these last few seasons. And just that culture over there in Seabrook is really special, and they've got some guys who have really bought into that mentality this year, and their new coach is doing a terrific job. So definitely Whale Branch is deserving of a top 5 ranking, and Estill certainly is climbing up as well. So excited to see how boys will shake up here. I'm just really intrigued by this season. I mean we've had some good basketball years over the past time I've been here, but this one seems I'm excited. Things are kind of shaken up, but maybe some ways that I didn't expect early on. So I'm excited to see how things continue to shake up.
I mean, it's really splitting hairs on the boys' side.
Yeah, it
From
is.
really, I don't think, other than Will, he probably felt good about it, but the rest of us didn't feel real confident about saying HHCA is the best boys team in the area. And I think you can go all the way down, and like we haven't even mentioned Buford or BA. And you telling me that either one of those teams couldn't beat any one of the teams we're talking about? I think they could on any given night. So it's maybe the ceiling isn't super high, but there's a lot of people, up there in that upper tier. So that's good to see. Rob, how'd you split up those hairs? Who are your top 5 boys?
I got James Island 1. They are.
Yeah. See, now I'll say one thing about the eye test is I saw James
Yeah.
Island one time and they did not look good. So I'm kind of poisoned against them, but body of work wise, they got to be right there. Right.
And they've got they got a really good point guard. Simmons he's legit.
And the nail kid is a problem inside too.
Yeah, and they have good wins, right? Like you value the good wins, and also they're playing at a high level of competition. So I think when you're power polling, it's sort of like the JP2 girls thing. Like there's no way to compare them versus Publix by virtue of comparative analysis. James Island's. I believe, were they the ones who took out Prep by 13 or 15 or something of that nature, or was that Lucy Beckham?
I think that was Beckham.
Okay.
Beckham.
And James Island beat Beckham. So
James Island beat Beckham by 2, right? So I got James Island there. I kid you not, right now, I wouldn't know who to pick between Whale Branch, Estill, Wade Hampton, and actually the surging Ridgeland Hardyville crew.
Ridgeland. Yeah, you got to put Ridgeland in the mix there too, because they just beat Estill.
Yeah, so they just beat Estill. So that, and handily, like 15, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that's also like a really great story about to happen.
Phenomenal story.
Yeah, if that can start to really pick up steam, I would love to see something like that go down. But anyway,
I think I'm heading out there Friday night to see Hampton and the Jags. That should be fun times.
That's going to be a good one.
That should be live. No two ways about it. So, either way, okay. So where was I? I had James Islands. I'm going to go HHCA 2 because they just came off the big win there. Though I didn't really. I came out of that game feeling a little differently than you guys did. I felt like if everyone head-to-head was, I felt like it was, that was a really toxic, loud gym that favored really, it was split, but it favored the Christian side. So when you look at it in that way, like I didn't feel like they got, going back to Vegas terms, that home court bump at all out of it. And they still went to overtime with the team that lost little Ben mid-4th quarter and didn't have Helms, who was essentially Harry 2 years older. So like that gets to be a really even thing. Also, I hate to say it, and it's like sort of like the ugliness in the room that I don't think was mentioned, but most of the people I talked to after that game were concerned about the pace of that game. That was almost like that should have been, that game should be encapsulated for reason we need a shot clock in South Carolina. 55 seconds of possession, like it was crazy. So, it was over system to death. Like you took a lot of the basketball out of the kids playing that way on Friday night. So I'm just going to throw that out there. But then we're moving down. I got, after Christian, I got Wade Hampton up next because tradition matters. And they have been good for a good period of time. And since they're still in the thick of it, and, they're all still right in the midst of knocking each other off, daily, I'm going to stick with Wade until people tell me otherwise. Crazy enough, I got Lucy Beckham at 4. Not crazy. And then I got Prep at 5.
Wow. No Well Branch, huh?
No, that's the thing. I think they're all like the same sort of.
They are.
It's not that I don't love Whale, and not that I don't think they can easily crack into that. I just think right now there's like no way to really tell them apart. And again, Ridgeland Hardyville, they're now stepping up. So and took out Estill, and so as we've done in years past, the transitive property of those wins and losses, if amongst those four groups of team or those four squads gets to be like a cancel out net zero.
Yeah, there's no way you can manage the order of operations on that much transitive property. It's just
yeah. So I mean, I think
I tried to make a matrix and it was just too confusing.
I just thought I was shaking the apple cart by taking two Charleston teams, right? But they look good. Yeah, they look good. So
they do. I don't know. May River was so close to knocking off James Island that night I saw them that I came away, a little bit soured on them. But they've done nothing.
That was a slow-paced game too, wasn't it? That was
terribly. It was like 37-35 or something. And and May River let James Island run like 2.5 minutes at the end of the game too.
Wow.
Hilarious. I mean,
South Carolina powers that be shot clock. We need a shot clock.
Yeah, I mean, you know what's crazy though, where we are in the Lowcountry, enough of us now have been, because we obviously schedule across the Talmadge, so we've been over there and seen the 35-second shot clock, right? And it's a much better way to go about things.
It's a much better product.
Look, bottom line is, if Christian and Prep had just used 32 seconds per possession, right? We would have gotten 25 more shots.
Twice as much basketball.
Twice as much basketball. And it would have been fun. I felt like by the end of that, I was looking at the coaches' last names on the front of the uniforms a little bit. So, that's my take. And but the shot clock is a winner across the board.
I mean, to be fair to both of the coaches, they're both, I think, former D1 coaches or definitely former college coaches, and they're just going to use every advantage they got. And I'm sure, like, Rank is like, well, we gotta slow Casano down, so we're going to take as much time off the clock as needed, and then I think Prep is they're just Princeton, they're going to take a lot of time, they're going to feed it to the big man, and they're going to, and that's why I say it's well coached. But a shot clock was definitely needed because it speeds the pace up, and it gets a really good game. It probably makes it a classic, so in my opinion.
All right. Well, on that note, guys, let's take a quick break and hear from our sponsors who keep this thing going. Then we'll be back to name our players of the week and take a look ahead to next week on the Lowco Hoops Report.
Hey, Lowco sports fans. This podcast and all of our grassroots local sports content are made possible by support from community sponsors, including Mickelson Law Firm, the official real estate attorneys of Lowco Sports, and the presenting sponsor of our Hilton Head Christian Academy coverage. Our original sponsors are still among our greatest supporters. Ryan and Tiffany Mickelson are community pillars who will be in your corner no matter your legal needs. When you need legal representation, call on the attorneys who support Team Lowco. Call Mickelson Law Firm. Hospice Care of the Lowcountry, the official hospice provider of Lowco Sports and the only not-for-profit hospice in southern Beaufort County. For more than 30 years, the committed, compassionate staff at Hospice Care of the Lowcountry have been there to ensure your loved ones find comfort, honor, and dignity at the end of life. Because at Hospice Care of the Lowcountry, it's not about dying, it's about living. Homegrown Home Inspections, the official home inspectors of Lowco Sports. Jan Lucas and his team provide thorough, detailed home inspections aimed to ensure everyone goes into the transaction with open eyes and confidence. Jan would rather reveal an inconvenient truth than look the other way and provide reassurances that could come back to burn the buyer in the long run. If you're looking to buy or sell a home and need an honest, reliable inspector, call on Homegrown Home Inspections, official sponsors of Lowco Sports. DDS Web Design, official SEO experts of Lowco Sports. If your business or organization has a website and you're trying to figure out what SEO is, you need to call on Denise and Dave Sinkovich at DDS Web Design. They'll provide a free consultation and do all the behind-the-scenes work to boost your search engine optimization and get your website found online so you can take your business to the next level. DDS Web Design, official SEO experts of Lowco Sports. American Wood Reface, sustaining sponsors of Lowco Sports. Does your kitchen need a facelift? Before you start picking out new cabinets, give Ben and the team at American Wood Reface a shot. They can reface your existing cabinets to overhaul your aesthetic without the hefty price tag and reimagine your kitchen at a price point you can manage. Be sure to tell them Lowco sent you because every referral helps support Lowco Sports. 4M Metals, sustaining sponsor of Lowco Sports. Got metal? Your roof might need it. Metal roofing advantages include better energy efficiency, weather protection, longevity, a more aesthetically pleasing design, and the product is all green. So if you've been thinking about a new roof, go metal. Let 4M Metals be the difference in your roof. Jay's Barbershop. It's the talk of the town and the place to be in Ridgeland. If you need your ears lowered, head over to Jay's for a fresh cut and great conversation with good folks. And tell them Lowco sent you. Lowco Pie, official pizza sponsor of Lowco Sports. They sling some of the best pies in the Lowco, and my kids say the mac and cheese is the best around. Hungry? Hit up Lowco Pie, longtime supporter of Lowco Sports. Hilton Head Prep is a sustaining sponsor of Lowco Sports, and we tell you all about the Dolphins' athletic exploits. But did you know it's also the #1 ranked private K-12 school in Beaufort County and ranks in the top 2.5% of schools nationwide? Visit hhprep.org to see what Hilton Head Prep has to offer. Beaufort Academy is a sustaining sponsor of Lowco Sports, and we love covering the Eagles. With a student-to-faculty ratio of 7-1 and an average class size of 14 students, Beaufort Academy could be just the educational solution you're looking for, with more one-on-one attention. BA has a strong history of working with the whole child to prepare each student for college and life. Check them out at BeaufortAcademy.org. Thank you to all of our sustaining and supporting sponsors for their support of LowcoSports.com. Go Lowco.
All right, guys, time to name our players of the week. And Wes, are you taking the first crack at it here, buddy?
Yeah, I'll
we
take
giving you the first pick in the
yeah.
draft?
I'll take the first pick for my boys and girls player of the week. And I've been a homer for these last weeks, but I'm going to spread some love to some other deserving players. And for my girls, what a week for Brady Mahoney. 4 games, and she puts up some ridiculous numbers over this past week. 26 points, 21 boards, 5 steals against Pomona Christian. 3 straight double-doubles in a row, 17-11 against Thomas Hayward, and then 17-14 against Patrick Henry. And then she finishes off the week with another 20-plus point outing, 23 points and 9 boards against St. Andrews, as JP2 just continues to roll past its competition that most of the time this year. And Mahoney has really been the spark plug with her just unending desire to win the battle on the boards and just her athleticism and work ethic out there on the floor. And she has been really fun to watch. And just love the dedication that she's shown to this JP2 team. And, I'm excited to hopefully I'll be able to see this group in action. Maybe when they visit Hilton Head Prep, I'll be able to see Mahoney play. But really impressed by what she and this Golden Warriors team have done. 12-2 right now on the season. And they would not be out there at that mark without the efforts of Mahoney. So they lost the first meeting against Beaufort Academy. They'll get another shot at them on January 30th. So we'll see how that one goes at JP2. Then for my boys, player of the week, Forrest Ferry with a 42-point performance against Colleton Prep. Also had 13 rebounds, 6 assists, and 6 steals for Patrick Henry, a guy that we covered a lot during football season, terrific athlete, and showed his prolific scoring ability on the basketball court. Followed up with another big game against JP2, 21 points and 8 rebounds. So Forrest Ferry getting the job done there for Patrick Henry, and love to see the success of him and that team competing in these big-time games. So Ferry, certainly one who I thought, maybe somebody who wasn't on my radar to start basketball season, but someone who is, taking advantage and pressing out there on the court so far this year.
Yeah, that Patrick Henry boys team is another one that, they played BA to double overtime in a crazy game, and they've got some real talent there too. Noah Altman also, he had a double-double against whoever they played on Friday, against JP2 as well. What do you have, 19 and 14? They got some talent there. And
they got a player coming back too from injury. He's kind of like, I heard that they got
Michael Tucker Mathis will be coming back from injury that he suffered during football season. So I think they're going to be a problem in 2A. And Mahoney, 10 straight double-doubles, and then she had that snap with 23 and 9 on Saturday. So that's a pretty good way to snap your double-double streak. Will, you're up next, buddy. Who you got?
He stole a little of my thunder with the JP2 Mahoney girl, so I'm gonna keep it safe, and I'm gonna keep it in house. Then I'm gonna go Maya Hutchinson. She had a really good game. They don't have any stats out, but I watched her in both of those games, and she scored a ton of buckets, had a ton of rebounds, ton of big plays, ton of steals, like she always does. And I don't think I've named her my player of the week yet, so I'm gonna go with the safe pick, and I'm gonna go to Maya Hutchinson for HHCA, and then on the boys' side, I'm gonna go Sean Casano, man. I mean, he scored over 50% of their points in a big game. He had 25 and 11. The offense runs through him, and he basically willed his team to a tie. I really don't know what they would be like without Casano. They'd probably be a decent team, but Casano puts them over the top. And this is like the fourth time I've seen him play, and every time I've seen him play, he's passed the eye test. He can shoot, he can dribble, he can play inside, he can play out, he plays defense. I mean, he's a basketball player through and through.
Yeah.
So
I mean, if we're doing player power rankings, Cusano's number one on everybody's list, and it's probably not
crazy,
close.
though.
And I got a kid that plays, and I got a kid I love that's good, and Casano's he would be number one still. I mean, 25, 11, and I mean those are probably his just pedestrian numbers. I mean, he didn't go lights out.
He didn't get any touches for two and a half quarters. Like he put up those numbers. I mean, they literally that was the biggest problem with I think the prep.
Well, he did. He gave it up. He passed it a lot. I mean, if you sit back and rewatch the game, every play on the offense went through him, and I think Grunt did a good job switching off Anderson and Turner, and keeping different looks at him. And then we went, to a zone at one point. So I think I don't think it frustrated him, but I think it was enough to keep him from shooting the ball as much as he'd like to do.
I just don't think they got him the ball where they needed to get him the ball. Because if you look at early in the game, he dominated on the blocks, and I know he's a guard essentially. Yeah, essentially at the next level, he is a guard, right? But in that situation, to get a W, it was clear what they needed to do, and they just didn't do it. So I mean, it's all for the good, but Casano's an incredible talent.
Yeah, he is. And I thought Christian Academy used their fouls well too. I mean, they were able to put him on the line a lot and keep him from getting easy buckets and without fouling people out, which was, a little bit of a stroke of luck at times, but also, some strategery in there as well. But Rob, who you got for your players of the week, buddy?
On the girls' side, I'm going to go with Talia Hayward over at Buford Academy. She just committed to Coker, I guess, yesterday or the day before. So she's going to continue playing ball in South Carolina, D2 level, which is a super cool thing. You love to see it.
Absolutely.
I'm not sure that 2 years ago you could have sold me any bill of goods that said that she would end up being like by far the marquee kid on that team, given she's the same year as Michaela Washington. But yet she just keeps coming and proving that tenacity and hard work or going hard, like motor is a skill, right? So that's sort of like if you just keep coming and you keep coming downhill, that has real work. So today should be interesting to see her, and Devin go head to head a little bit, which Devin tends to stop you from going downhill fairly quickly. So, so it should be, the movable force or whatever that saying is, whatever object.
Devin's
so that would be
right, man.
So that's where that should be my girls pick, because you want to give a shout out to those who are making it happen and playing at the next level. On the boys' side, the bottom line, there were some great performances in the prep Christian game, but there was a sort of cult hero status thing that went on with Harrison Skinner. He's a kid who's been a known commodity in the area for a long time. Whether he was going to grow, does he grow, blah blah blah, it doesn't matter, because now speaking to what I was critical of, right, was pace earlier and shot clock. Well, I'm not sure in HHCA's system it benefits anyone more than it does Harry, because his feel is so strong at the point guard. Like, he feels the game. He feels tempo. He knows how to control pace. He gets to his spots and he knows how to get his people, and he's a clutch chucker. I mean, like, He has no problem with people in his face who are bigger, who are just about to get it, and it's like it's cold-blooded ice in your veins stuff. And so he hit 1 3 in every quarter, including overtime, and all of them seem bigger than the other, right? So, but going into the year, and that's another thing why I think prep is definitely still right there. I don't know if you can count on Harry, as good as he is, to bump 15 out on him all the time in that dramatic fashion, right? So, but you can't.
I mean, but he's been coming up time and time again. I mean, there's been a couple
and I'm
games
telling you,
where you say, well, this is probably the only time he's going to do it because he's a freshman and he finds a way. I don't even see him as a freshman anymore. You know how they say you graduated, early. He's not a freshman anymore.
He's been that guy
he's
for a
too
long
big.
time.
Yeah,
he's been that
the
guy
moment's
for a
not too
long
big
time.
for him.
No, it's definitely not. It's definitely not. And he's got that swagger about him, which I love and always has had, which is super cool. And he he's like that kid who's had a history, one of the few kids around here who actually goes viral.
When he points it to the HHP crowd, because they're giving it to him, and they're giving it to him in a fun way, and he nails it, and then pulls out the "Make My Day" gun and points it, shoots it.
He's that kid. He's bringing juice for sure, and I love it. I love it.
I'm not even kidding. One time he made one at the other end, and coming back, he stared me down, just grinning as big as he could grin all the way back down the court. I mean, you're right. He is a folk hero at this point, and I don't see what could stop him from becoming a bigger one over the next 4 years.
You know what's interesting about that is actually the prep girls coach texted me the next day because I don't think he'd ever seen Harry before. And so Phil texted me and he's like, man, that kid, he's like, he just feels it. Like, I love it, and da-da-da-da-da. But one of the things he said, what was really interesting to me was that, and you can tell all the other kids rally around him and protect him.
Yes,
and think of him as their leader and stuff like that. And I thought, there's been certain kids historically in and around the Lowcountry that have been like the people's point guard, right? Like if you're playing pickup or if you're running travel ball or whatever, you're just the guy that they want to play with. And so that's the way I sort of view Harry. Like he's the people's point guard.
Absolutely. I believe you called Takoya that a couple years ago, right? The people's
I
point
did,
guard.
and I think
he's my point guard.
Similar. Yeah, he's got all that, right? Like he's that in the back.
He's so fun. He's so fun. I was hoping you'd leave him on the table for me, but no worries. On the girls' side, I got to give some love in a losing effort to Courtney Campbell because that kid, man, she is phenomenal. And she would have had 8 or 9 assists easily the other night if they could have made a bunny. Like, I mean, she was making some incredible finds, cross-court basketball passes on a dime, or baseball passes, just unbelievable play, and put up 20 against a really sick team and kept them in it early. I mean, it was a 6-point game with 4 minutes left in the half, so I thought she did a terrific job, just ran out of steam and just doesn't have a lot around her, but she's a phenomenal player, just a sophomore and a really bright future. And then on the guys' side, man, I had a couple people queued up that you guys stole from me, but I had another one in the tank here. Let's give it up for Ponce Capers from that Ridgeland team. He's just a sophomore too. He had 12 points and 5 steals in the win over Edisto. And then he had 16 points and 5 assists in the win over Estill on Saturday night. And hit us with some highlights on Twitter. He's got some moves, man. The kid can play, and I'm really excited to go out Friday night and check out that Ridgeland team against Wade Hampton.
That's a good pick.
It's got the potential to be a really, really fun game and a terrific atmosphere because that gym's one of the best around.
Absolutely.
All right, guys. Well, that's our players of the week. So let's take a look ahead at what we're looking forward to this week. I already mentioned that Ridgeland Wade Hampton game I'm looking forward to. Where are you guys looking forward to getting out this week?
Well, I'm already excited for the Hilton High Bluffton rematch at the Den on Tuesday. A rematch of what was a fantastic first game between those two sides. And Hilton Head, they were right there with Bluff, just couldn't put them away. But they're going to be gunning for this rematch, and I think Linda Young's going to have a strong game alongside Deja Godson and then Emily Pfister. I mean, Pfister had that, if you remember, had that clutch 3 a couple weeks ago to force OT and a big time home win against Beckham. And she's an excellent competitor, great hunger out there. And I think this Hilton Head, they've had a renewed energy now. And I really think some of those other players have fed off of that. Emily Ruckno, who, was a tennis star, and we've talked about all the good things she's done on the tennis court. What a nice addition she has been for that team as well. Her intensity, she may not be a basketball player for many years. She's played a few seasons and it hasn't been her main sport, but, her ability to make some big plays in the court, scoop up some loose balls, play hard defense, and even hit some shots. She's been a heck of a piece over these last few weeks for that Russell Raniszewski coach team. So love the way Hilton is playing, but I'm not going to doubt in a big game the ability of Takoya Hayward to take things over. And if they can hit some shots from the outside and use Hayward's ability, to get to the rim, hit free throws, I think that's a big thing. Bluffton's kind of been on and off with the free throw shooting. If they can hit at the line, and their defense, their defense has been historically really strong over these last few years. And in big games like that, they're going to feed off the energy of their home crowd. So I'm really excited. I think Bluffton has overall more talent on the court, but in a rivalry game, I think it's going to be up for grabs. And Linda Young can, she can storm back and take a game over, not just with a rebounding, but with her outside shot too. She can hit the three and she can nail the jumper. So I cannot wait for that one. Going to be a fantastic girls game. Boys game should be solid as well. I like Hilton in that one. Really like the play of Reese Stewart alongside Jordan Nelson Davis, Shakori Walters. Shane Brown has his team playing some inspired and tough, hard-nosed basketball this year. And then on Friday, I think I'm going to head over to JP2 Hilton Head Christian Academy. That's a Region 3, a 3A region game in Skeeza between the Golden Warriors and Hilton Head Christian Academy. Can the Eagles feed off the momentum from that big-time win in region play over Hilton Head Prep and finish off these first two games with victories here. So HHCA, that's a team that, like we said, has risen to the top of the hierarchy here for now. But let's see if they can back it up and pick up a win. What could be a potential trap game over although I don't know. JP2. I don't think they'll have any problems with them. They've had a tough year so far. It's never easy after the emotional high of a big win, but I just don't think JP2 is enough to compete with Christian Academy. But the girls' game, I'm excited to see what JP2 does in that contest. Brady Mahoney, I'm excited to see how they plan to defend her and what they do against her. But I think the collection of talent Hilton Christian Academy is going to be a little too much for JP2. But those are two solid teams, skis as girls basketball programs in the Lowco. Excited to see them go up against each other.
Also got JP2, Hilton Head Prep at JP2 on Wednesday, so that could be interesting.
That's a brutal week, man.
That's tough. Yeah.
May River Boys has a week like that. Right.
Yeah,
I'm looking down.
They got Lucy at home and James Island on the road, right?
Yeah. So they
tough weeks, man.
So
that's no fun.
Everything you need to know about them, you'll know Saturday morning, right? And their chances kind of moving forward.
Got Battery Creek at Buford on Friday. That girls' game was both games were pretty interesting the first time around, although Buford boys pulled away. But got some good matchups coming up.
What about that Buford Phillip Simmons?
Yeah, that Buford Phillip Simmons boys matchup.
It's a loaded week. It is a loaded week of high school basketball.
Yeah. And then I think the trap game is HHCA Buford Academy tonight. For both
for the boys.
HHCAs, boys definitely, but both could be potentially.
Yeah, just the boys. The girls. Those three are really good, but when you get to 4 and 5, Hilton Head Christian's going to eat them up.
Yeah. How did you? How long is BA been on the that discussion on the girls' side, and it's always 25 points?
Yeah, it's been like that for 3 or 4 years. Like they were state champions, they were 1A state champions, and everybody was like, "Oh, they're the 1A champs against the 2A champs," and they trucked them by like 30 at the rec center. It was
yeah. That's a Dior year.
I'll find out tonight and report to you guys because that's where I'm going to be at.
Right on.
There's a good cheesesteak place right across the street. Well,
perfect.
Thank you. Yeah, I always go there
Cheesecake
before
place
BA
across the
game.
street.
No, not cheese.
Are you talking about Brody's? You talking about Brody's?
Is that what its name? It's called. It's like in that like. I'm talking. It's 100 yards down the road. It's really a pizza
Oh,
place.
okay, never mind.
Yeah, it's delicious. It's delicious. It's really, yeah. So
I
do
thought
go
you
with-
meant I thought you meant Brody's. They have a good cheese stick there too.
Do
Brody's
they?
Bar and Grill. Yeah.
I'm always
sponsors.
on the.
And they got good wings.
Yes.
You're a wings guy.
All right, well, they should probably sponsor, don't you think?
They have been a sponsor in the past. Yeah, I
Ooh.
need to get them
Hey,
back on.
I've got some good food options. Hey guys, sponsors, man, y'all should step up, man. We'll do tours of the restaurant. I'm all
There
for
we
that.
go.
I'm a big guy.
We'll do live remotes and tailgate before shows or before
Heck
games.
yeah, we will.
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
doubt. Yeah. Well, the Twitter Spaces live from the Loco tailgate
Yeah,
at
exactly,
your
man.
at your destination. So
Let's do
hit
that.
us up. We got the email in the ticker down there, locosports@gmail.com. Hit us up for sponsor
Absolutely.
information. We think outside the box here. We'll come up with a plan, but and we'll get your name out there. But thanks so much to everybody who joined us for another episode of the Lowco Hoops Report. Always a blast. An hour flies by talking hoops with you guys. Thanks especially to our sponsors and to those who show up and listen and watch every week. You're the reason we do it and the reason we shine a light on these kids and get their names out there. So thanks to everyone involved. Until next time, go Lowco.